What's up, everyone? Darby Rollins here, followed alongside my friend David Deutsch. We are going to be talking about the convergence of AI and creativity today, and I'm super excited to dive in, and see what comes of this conversation. But for those of you a part of the AI author community who may not be familiar with who David is, a little bit of background on David himself. David is a world-renowned direct response copywriter, marketer, strategist, author, and copywriting coach. In addition to creating winning promotions from scratch, he often works with clients and writers behind the scenes to turn underperforming promotions into winners. David started at Ogilvy and Mather on Madison Avenue, working with clients such as Merrill Lynch, General Foods, and American Express. He then switched to direct response marketing, where he's generated $1 billion in sales for leading direct response marketers, entrepreneurs, and publishers, including Agora and Boardroom, which is now Bottom Line Publications. And for these clients, he's had as many as 6 winning controls at once. Very impressive. David also supervises, coaches, and trains writers and copy teams both in the US and around the world, including Germany, China, Singapore, England, Colombia, and Romania. Also the creator of A-List Copywriting Secrets, in which he reveals the secrets that has enabled him to sell over $1 billion of his clients' products, author of $1 Million Marketing Secrets, as well as Think Inside the Box, an acclaimed book on generating ideas. And he also has written a memory course and co-authored Guide to Bermuda. David, very impressive career you've had, and super honored to be here with you today to talk about how you obviously are as a world-renowned copywriter are and creator and have so much experience in this field. Using AI in your own business, or also kind of how you're approaching the concept of AI. We're just on the forefront, really like the frontier, it feels like, of this new technology we were talking about before we went live here. About, kind of feels like the internet in like 99, like, oh my gosh, look at all, like, are people going to use this? What's really going on with it? I think the possibilities are really just at the tip of the iceberg. So like, welcome on. And I'd love to just kind of get your take, like, initially, like, where do you see like AI right now, and like not only like where you're using it in your own business, but like where are you kind of seeing, like, if you're seeing like kind of like the future, the next few years, like any thoughts on your end about where this is going? Is it going to take over the role?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to be here. Great to be here talking. I always love talking to you because I learned so much about how to use AI in terms of writing. So this is very exciting to be talking with you about AI and the potential for it. I feel like you said we're pioneers in a certain way. I feel like we're kind of when the internet was first coming out. I feel like when like when Facebook, first started, and people were like, you should really use this. It's an amazing thing.
Mm.
And I think it's going to be every bit as amazing and as much of a tool as the internet became, as Facebook became. Because, just I always tell the story of a friend of mine, Ofer Breyer. He used to say, David, you got to look into AI, for writing. He's like, you got to look at doing amazing things. And he'd send me a sample of what AI had produced. And I would just laugh because it was just so bad and so silly, an attempt at it. And then, like a year later, he sent me some more stuff. And all of a sudden, I wasn't laughing anymore. Like, it wasn't great. It wasn't A-list writing or anything, but the amount of improvement, in just a year was so amazing. And now I see improvement, every couple of months. And there's a new GPT-4s coming out and all sorts of things. So to me, that curve is just going to be exponential, in terms of the future, in terms of improvement. But even right now, I think I look at AI kind of as not like it's going to substitute for me for writing or being creative, but I look at it as an assistant, right? I look at it as this, almost like this, full-time assistant that I can just pay pennies. That if I say, hey, find out about this for me, or come up with some ideas on this, or give me some headline ideas for this, right? I mean, I don't care if it writes 10 headlines and 5 of them are bad, 3 of them are mediocre, and only 2 are good. right? I've still got two pretty good headlines out of it. I may not use those headlines, I may not use those ideas, but they may stimulate me to have ideas kind of in that direction because it took me in a direction I wouldn't have gone in ordinarily. So
Yeah.
I think there's huge potential for using it in that way. If you look at it as a partner
Mhm.
rather than as a, is this going to write for me? Is this going to substitute for me? Is this going to come up with ideas for me? Is this going to replace me? It's such a silly debate in a way because you're always going to need the human factor, right? The copywriter overseeing it, overlooking it, interpreting it to add that human factor to it. But there's so much that can be done by the AI, as you well know.
It really does stimulate the creative juices, right? It almost acts as a catalyst for helping you, if anything, just see something from a different perspective or a different angle much faster and helping brainstorm through these different ideas. Just latch onto that one idea that you can then grow and expand on, and keep the ideas flowing from there. And I think
Yeah.
one of the problems I think that people will run into when they start using it is they think that it's going to do everything for them, right? Like
Right.
it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
AI is just going to write this whole blog post for me, or it's just going to write this whole sales letter. But if you don't understand like the principles behind what makes these things work, you're just going to end up with like average or mediocre content at best.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of like what I've seen. But the people that really dig into understanding what drives the AI and like how it actually thinks and works and like the logic behind it and thinking more along those terms, then you can steer the ship a lot more effectively rather than, hopping in a car and then not even knowing how to drive it essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's a lot like that. A lot of times I think people have expectations of it doing something. Um, but it's an additive process, right? If you're an 8 as a writer and you can get AI to help you and come up with ideas and to take you in directions you wouldn't have thought of, it could add 2 points to that. You could be a 10 as a writer. Um, when I teach creativity, a lot of how I teach creativity is the prompts, right?
Mhm.
Things to stimulate you when it comes to creativity. So I teach people to ask questions like, well, what if you did the opposite, or what if you reversed it? What if you added to it? What if you subtracted to it? How could that generate ideas? And AI kind of does that, right? It's endless prompts, it's endless ways, it's endless catalysts. It's a catalyst for your creativity. I think that's really the key thing because it takes you in directions that you wouldn't have thought of. Because first of all, it's read billions of pages of the internet and you haven't, so it's going to definitely take you in directions you haven't thought of in that way. And also, it doesn't have your habitual ways of thinking, right? It doesn't have your ego. It doesn't have your limitations. It doesn't have your, oh, I can do this, I can't do that, right? It's much freer in a certain way.
Can you go into a little bit, maybe like more detail about like the ego attached with like writing in general? Because something that I've noticed, and like myself included, as coming from a copywriting background as well, is like that's what you hang your hat on if you are a professional copywriter. Is the words, these are your words, and you're coming up with them and molding them in such a way that
Mm-hmm.
are going to drive conversions, especially coming from a direct response background. How have you seen personally from your own experience, like using the AI and like maybe disconnecting yourself from some ego involved with it and just kind of working in partnership with it versus, what some people might just totally discount AI and say like, no, this is going to completely ruin my craft, versus the copywriters like yourself that are
Yeah.
integrating it into their work.
Well, that's a very interesting thing because I can almost feel a little bit of that of kind of being here talking about AI. There's a little bit of what are people going to think, right? Oh, David Deutsch is using AI for writing copy. So you're right. That might be a consideration for some people. Maybe John Benson being the best example of people that are top writers that are unembarrassingly using it, right? I mean, John's a great writer. John's written great VSLs. He doesn't need AI, right? He doesn't need Jasper helping him, but he's glad for the help. It
Mhm.
enables him to write more, write better, come up with ideas. So I think, yeah, maybe it is a little bit getting past embarrassment that I don't need this.
Even just like taking things back whenever you feel like you're like almost like it's your shadow part or your secret weapon that you don't want people to know about necessarily. And I told that's totally fine. Like you don't need to be
Right, right.
public about using it. I know lots of people who use Jasper inside of their own work are like probably not telling that their bosses that they're using Jasper to help them with some of the content because maybe they might have some sort of thought or idea about like, oh, are you just like not doing the work, or are you just being lazy with it, or are you just like outsourcing it to an AI? Is your quality going to go down? And I mean, I think that's a valid concern when you see the stamps like Google coming down and like bringing down the hammer in some sense on
Mhm.
AI generated content. If you've seen that in the news lately, I don't know all the details about all the nitty gritty about it, but a problem with being able to just generate so much content so much quicker is if it's not going through like a higher level of quality control, if it's not passing certain standards, you're going to end up with a lot of bleh content, right? And
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's kind of painted with a broad brush of people that just generate AI
mhm,
content constantly, right? And just churn it out, whether that's a content company or, whatever it is. And yeah, Google is cracking down on that, which is why, as you say, you want to use it as, you want it to go through you, right? You want to rekey it in. You want to, either retype it. I mean, sometimes AI will write something and I'll read it, right? And then I'll put it aside, right? So it'll kind of affect what I write, right? Because, okay, that was its take on it. Just like I was in the room with a person I was working with, and they said, why don't we do something like this? Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, so that kind of, I'm not going to take down in dictation exactly what they said, but it it influences what I write.
mhm.
Does that make sense? It's you know there may be one thing in there, right? I may get a whole page from AI about something, but there's one thing in there that it was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought to mention that. I'm going to mention that now in what I write.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and
that's
I see that very similarly with myself too. You generate a paragraph or two, and you say, okay, like that part's okay, but this sentence actually like really says it well. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to kind of continue to expand on it. Or that's taking me in a direction that I never would have thought to even go. Like, thanks, Jasper, appreciate it. I'll take back over from here, and then lean back in whenever it's time to brainstorm and generate maybe some more ideas to riff off of.
hmm yeah. And sometimes, of course, Jasper can riff off of what you write because you
Mhm.
just put what you've written into Jasper. Jarvis. Which one? I keep getting it mixed
It's
up. It
the
is now
yeah, it's
Jasper. You've got, you've got it on the hat crossed out, but I can't quite see the crossing out. So every once in a while, I look at it and I see Jarvis. You can actually put what you've written, of course, into Jasper and
Mhm.
say, riff on this, Jasper. Continue this for me. Um, and it's amazing, right? You can see where it takes it.
Yeah, and that's something we've actually been, a lot like when we're talking with John Benson about this as well, and like how powerful of a tool Jasper is, all things considered, is that you can put, right, like you said, you can put content in, whether it's your content or maybe
Right,
testimonials or reviews from a market you're researching, and you're taking the top 10 testimonial reviews or feedback that people have about a specific problem they have, that you go and do that research, you plug it into Jasper, and now Jasper knows all of that above it, and it can take that and start writing out more and more content. And then you could start asking about different pain points. What are some benefits that people experience based on the content above? And now instead of, you know, you being stuck at a wall with coming up with all the
right.
ways to write off of what you've now researched, Jasper is just super powering your ability to write content around that. And so I would love to kind of dive into Jasper a little bit and see kind of like in terms of like how you use it on your end, like as a professional copywriter, and then explore maybe some other ways that maybe we can all learn something here, right? Like on top of this, we're talking about how do we integrate AI inside a process, coming up with great ideas.
Right,
Um,
right. Can we?
And can you walk me through maybe an example of how you would use Jasper right now in your own process?
Yeah, let me pick up on something you said though, because I mean that was huge. That idea of taking testimonials and putting them into Jasper like that, um, because I think if I understand correctly, what you're saying is you can take a whole bunch of testimonials and put them in Jasper, and it actually teaches Jasper the kinds of things that people say about this product or service. And then Jasper can then use that to generate content, ideas, headlines, copy, whatever it is. I mean, that's kind of mind blowing, even to me. Like I had never thought to do that. To just take a bunch of testimonials, put them in there, and you're like training Jasper.
Hmm. Well,
That
maybe we could do that and like dive in and see how that actually like works. Like
I
what
would love
you
that.
know,
I would love that.
is there a product maybe that you have in mind that would be a good one to pull for reference? I mean, we do physical products on Amazon, we do software products. Does anything come to mind? Um,
A lot of people I work with, they sell supplements of various kinds.
okay.
They sell, um, things that help with weight loss. They sell things that help with, arthritis.
Okay. Is there maybe, let me think. Let me see. Supplements, arthritis. Just go on Amazon because that's a great place to go and search around for reviews on products
Mhm.
like this. Maybe like let's just do like a joint pain relief supplements.
So you're
Hmm.
saying the first thing to do is to go onto Amazon and pull some
Well,
reviews down
I'm
from
thinking
there.
this is maybe one way to do it, but I
Yeah.
always like before maybe we just start with like a product and reviews is thinking like what might be a really like a useful outcome of doing some research like this, right? Like if you as a copywriter have a supplement that you're maybe writing a piece for, like
Hmm.
you do research and then come up with a headline, subheadlines.
Right.
You know, what other elements are there that we're wanting to tackle with something like this from like your process? Like what would you want in doing a copywriting piece for a supplement brand? Like what would your outcome be, I guess?
Yeah, certainly headline ideas, ways of promoting it, marketing ideas. Sometimes I'll ask Jarvis for marketing ideas versus
Mhm.
copywriting ideas. Um, Headlines would probably be something that it would be relatively easy for Jasper to pull out from
Mhm.
testimonials, because a lot of times testimonials are kind of headlines.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do
Uh,
this. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and let's just,
yeah,
take a
let's
stab. Let's
be
take a
great
stab
to
at it
show
and
people kind of what it looks like in the hands of someone that really
cool.
knows how to use it.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. While I'm pulling this up, everyone here that's joining us live, I want to say thank you for being here live. Everyone here watching the replay, thank you as well. Drop a comment, let us know where you're tuning in from, and what if you're using Jasper, what you use it for. If you're not using Jasper, maybe what caught your interest to join us here live today. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, we've got a wide range of people on this, right? We've got
Mhm.
people that have never heard of Jasper, never, you know, used AI, and then we've got people from your world that are more experienced with it.
Yeah, so let me go here.
So
So
feel
I'm
free
gonna
to ask questions. I'll try to follow some of the questions in the live thing too, in the
sure.
comments.
So, is there a product, like a very specific product, that might be a good example here? And the supplement space is pretty much endless in terms of
Yeah,
stuff that.
someone just wrote, how about a joint pain relief? Joint pain relief is always good.
Okay,
He's got a supplement. He or she has a supplement with curcumin and ginger.
cool. So, okay, joint pain relief supplements,
Yeah,
curcumin, oh, turmeric and ginger, or turmeric,
yeah,
curcumin.
turmeric and ginger. They're kind of the two biggies They'll
Okay,
probably things.
let's just use this one as an example then. So let's say I wanted to create like maybe like a landing page for this on just for a new product I have that's going to have this supplement with it. Um, you can, of course, take information right here, like we were talking about, and copy it directly into Jasper. That might be a good place to start.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah.
just like start
Hmm.
filling out some of this information just for like a basic content brief. And so, um, for those of you watching right now, the way I approach boss mode and teach it inside of our to our students and our clients is it all comes down to the context you're giving it. The better the context in, the better the outputs you will get from Jasper. And the things that are going to impact that are going to be on the left hand side. I'm going to zoom in my screen here. Left-hand side, you'll see the title, content brief, tone of voice, and keywords. And so this is what Jasper is going to reference alongside that 10% that it knows from downloading the entire internet, or 10% of the internet anyways. Quite a lot of content. But what Jasper
Now,
can also do is see up to 3,000 characters above what it's going to be typing on. And so we'll get into more of that as well.
yeah. Darby, can I just want to slow things down a little,
Sure.
um, and especially for the people from my world who may
Mm-hmm.
not be as familiar with Jasper. You know, the stuff on the left is just kind of giving it context, as you said, just kind of telling it, okay, what's the title of what we're doing? Give me a little description. Give me a little, it's going to ask you a couple of questions to fill in. And then it's going to ask for tone of voice, which is so cool
Mm-hmm.
because you could tell it, I want it to be serious. I want it to be humorous. I want it to be light. Or you could say, I want to sound like Oprah, or I want to sound like, like crazy stuff, right? You can a
Mm-hmm.
person, it can imitate the style of a person. So that's kind of a cool setting as well, that you
And
can
I,
actually control that.
And actually, let me back up even a step further from that, because I guess how did we get here in the first place? We just opened up this big dark blank document and are about to generate a bunch of magical words from it. This is boss mode inside of Jasper, and so Jasper actually has two levels in it right now. If you're just getting familiar with the tool, starter plan, and boss mode. So boss mode is like generating long form content on a continuous level inside of your Jasper account. You have a dashboard, and everyone, starter and boss mode, gets access to these things called templates. And so these are what the team at Jasper and other contributors inside of the community have developed, templates that are designed to generate specific sorts of outcomes for your copy. So if you wanted to just generate a bunch of AIDA type of headlines, like attention, interest, desire, action, for writing ads, you could use a tool like this, and it works very, very well for that. If you wanted to generate engaging questions to ask an audience, you can also go to this tool and template right here, too. And so plenty of stuff to explore inside of this realm that we can dive into as well, David. I just wanted to kind of
I
back up to, like, there's
That
a
was one
lot
of
that
the
we could
things
use.
that kind of blew my mind a little bit when I was first learning about, you know, uh, Jasper and AI, was the ability to take, let's say, the supplement thing, and then
Hmm.
put it into, attention, interest, desire, action. And then it spits back out, okay, attention. Hey, if you have arthritis pain or, whatever, there's a new solution for you, something that gets attention, right? And then interest, right? There's a new something that, that does something, interest, desire, right? It's now available, like whatever it is. And it actually like broke it down like that. I just, my jaw was on the floor as I watched it do that.
And so
Um,
I wanted to show everyone here like how simple it is to use Jasper for this from just basic research, right? If we say like we need to
mhm.
come up with an ad for this turmeric supplement, you can go and pull the basic information just from Amazon, come in, and you've got up to 800 characters to fill out here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see 800 characters here, that you can fill out the content brief, 80 characters to fill out like a product name description. And so you could fill this out with as much detail as you want. But with a pretty popular product like this, Jasper is going to have a good understanding of what we're going with this. We just want to direct it slightly. And so like tone of voice, like you say, is a big influence on here. Is maybe there's a tone of voice that you've been having a lot of success with, David, that we could add in. You mentioned
Oh,
Oprah
I
earlier, maybe
usually
funny,
use things
witty.
like like for this, I would use authoritative. Um, Maybe I would try like doctor voice.
Ooh, I like that. Doctor, authority. And without need to get too crazy with it, but you can definitely experiment with these tones of voices and see what works best for you, what works best for your niche. If you're writing in a very particular niche, different like celebrities or people that have a lot of content online are there, and with just a blink of an eye, we've got some ideas for ads, right? So the first one we got for the supplement: are you looking for a natural way to support your joint health? You can see the interest right here. Main objective: they've been shown to help reduce inflammation and pain. That's why we've created them with bioperine, a black pepper extract to increase.
Yeah, can you read that out loud? I on mine it's very small. I don't know how it is for other people, but I
Okay.
probably got a lot of things.
Okay, cool. Please, if I butcher any of this pronouns, just forgive me in advance, guys. So yeah, first one here: are you looking for a natural way to support your joint health? Curcuminoids are the main active ingredient in turmeric. They have been shown to help reduce inflammation and pain. That's why we've combined them with bioperine, a black pepper extract, to increase absorption and potency. Our capsules are non-GMO and gluten-free, so they're perfect for people with dietary restrictions. Plus, they contain 95% standardized curcuminoids for potency and absorption. You won't find a better product in the market today. Order our turmeric curcumin capsules today.
Then that's the
Right?
action.
That's the action, right?
That's
So it
the
went from
action.
top line attention, second interest, third desire, and fourth action.
Right.
And so this
Now,
template is going to follow this every single time with this sort of format.
now this isn't just regurgitating the stuff that you put in there, right? It's taking the stuff that you put in there, as I understand it. It's taking the stuff that you put in there, and it's taking what it knows about curcumin
Mm-hmm.
from having read, billions of pages. It surely read a page about curcumin once, so it remembers that, and it's kind of putting it all together. And then if we then were to put a bunch of testimonials in there, it could again do an action, interest, attention, action, or whatever, attention, interest, desire, action,
Mm-hmm.
and it would incorporate what it learned from those testimonials into the next try. Is
Yeah.
that
So
is that
like,
a fair?
yeah, as long as you can, and that's where you find a balance between using these templates versus like, when do you want to use the boss mode for this type of stuff as well? Because if you're building out and you want it to reference a lot more specific content like the testimonials, you might run out of space here with these 800 characters. But some of these testimonials might be like perfect, maybe not the 1-star
Oh, I
ones,
see. So you're
but
saying
I
it would be better to go into boss mode for doing a lot of input like that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like I
Okay.
mentioned in passing earlier, before we took a little step back, was that Jasper is going to reference up to 3,000 characters above, as well as what it's referencing in the content brief. And so
Mhm.
we can build off of what we're doing right here, and then we can kind of transition to show you how we would do that with boss mode. But just a very minimal um, research in here. I've already seen fibromyalgia come up several times, right, for people that are experiencing like joint pain and such. And so you could say
Right.
like target like this review, and adding this in for some extra context, running a few more outputs as commands. You just go down to the bottom, select all the commands you want, and let's see. Um, let's see one of the first ones we've got right
Yeah.
here. Chronic pain. So it's
If
referencing chronic pain more with this now that we gave it a little bit more direction.
mhm.
Um,
Something, if I understand correctly, too, something that Jarvis will, any kind of AI is really good at pattern recognition, right?
mhm. Yeah.
So it will pick up, which is what we're supposed to do as copywriters. It will pick up on the language that people use over and over again in the testimonials,
Mhm.
right? If they say suffer from arthritis, it will use suffer from arthritis. If people never say I'm suffering from arthritis, because that's a little derogatory. It won't use that. It will start to describe in the way that people describe in the testimonials. If it talks a lot about fibromyalgia, it will probably work fibromyalgia into this,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And so it's great for that kind of, you know, taking a whole bunch of information and getting from it what you need to get from it, recognizing the patterns.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the pattern recognition is like so critical to understand why Jasper works the way it does. And it helps the more that you can like predict the patterns that Jasper is going to pick up on, the better you can drive it and steer it in those directions to get the ultimate outcome of what we're going to
Mm-hmm.
be moving for here. So I actually want to, I think before we dive into the boss mode and start to really go through all the different headlines and like a little bit more maybe advanced versus like the templates are very specific outcomes that are designed to give you like, um, you know, a very particular type of output, right? AIDA, you're going to get this type of response every single time. Um, Boss mode is going to be a little bit more free form, but you can also reference these templates. I want to share because I don't know. Have you seen the new mini VSL template that just got released, David?
No, I've watched a little bit of the stuff that you did with John, but that's, because that's interesting, because, AIDA is almost like the basic building block of copy, right?
Hmm.
And in a way, the most complex manifestation of copy is the VSL, right? That's
Hmm.
probably the most complex thing that you could do with copy to put it together. It's got a lot of, structure to it, a lot of things that have been found to be effective. So I think that gives you an idea too of just how, uh, wide ranging these templates are, that it can
Yeah,
even do a format for a VSL like that.
yeah, and I think like this would be a fun little experiment to see. Like when you're talking about putting what you find in reviews in the Jasper and having it build off of it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I really like about this VSL template in particular, or this the template is that you can go to these reviews right on Amazon, and you can add in like because Amazon does a lot of this filtering for you. Turmeric, highly recommended, pain relief, knee pain, lower back pain, right? These are all key words that just with a little bit of research, all you need to do now with Jasper is just plug these in and then watch the content get created, right? And if you're a copywriter writing
Mm-hmm.
VSLs, a mini VSL is 60-second script that's designed to send leads to an offer, right? Highly qualified leads, drive that traffic to an offer to download a free report, get them inside of your funnel, make a sale. Um, Maybe we just want to do like a quick, example using this product, right? How quickly you
That would be
can,
That'd be
yeah,
great. And
create.
we're talking about sort of mini VSLs now, right?
Yeah,
When
this is so
you're
you
talking
can
about a
obviously get
YouTube ad or
super,
something.
yeah. So you can obviously go a lot more in depth with that, and that's kind of what we're working with John on is like the full blown, like using Jasper on all areas of it. But it's like you said, like VSLs are pretty pretty heavy, in terms of all the different elements and components that go to
Right. The
them. So
longer
it's
length ones. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
and even just putting this template together, to be honest with you, took quite a bit more time than I had ever anticipated because of how how in depth John is with his templates. Like, he really is like a master at this stuff.
Yeah.
And being able to train Jasper on this is really kind of mind blowing. So, let me, because you work in this market also, so I'll just ask you as someone who has experience here. In terms of like an ideal buyer, is there maybe someone that comes to mind, like a niche? And John would describe this as like maybe like we would call like our ideal buyers like Jasper Nation, right? It's like it's a
Right. Right.
persona that we're using here. Is there any particular type of person who comes to mind that we could use for this example?
Older, um, suffers from suffers from some kind of joint pain, and is open to natural alternatives.
Cool. Suffers. Um,
I think when people are younger and they have pain, they're kind of like, yeah, I'll outgrow this. I'll exercise out of it. It'll get better. I think when
Well,
you're older, you tend to get, I've got to do something about this.
natural pain relief supplements, listing your key features and benefits here. So
Yeah,
this is
I
an
don't know if they're
interesting
looking for
spot.
natural pain relief supplements so much as they're looking for alternative solutions. They're open to natural solutions. They're not necessarily looking for, you know,
Okay.
boy, I wish I had a supplement as they are like, I'd rather not take steroids. I'd rather not have surgery. I'd rather not, do those unnatural things.
All right. I'm just gonna go in here and just pick out some of like maybe the key enhanced bioavailability, natural and vegan, no fillers or binders.
Now we're not doing this as if that's the actual product, right? Our product is not this that we're doing. Is
We could
that
do any product.
um,
Yeah, yeah, we
no,
could
no,
do
no,
any product. I was
no, no, no. I'm saying we're taking from a competitive product in a way, right? We've got a product
mhm.
that's got, that stuff in it. So we went on Amazon to look for a similar product.
Yeah,
Am I following?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Now,
so if you had like a product that you knew had different features, benefits, and maybe you do have one in mind that we could just list out a few of those,
yeah,
we
yeah.
could
No,
just
I
add
just
those
want to
in.
be clear what we're doing so
Mhm.
people are clear that, we're pretending we've got a supplement. And in order to generate stuff with Jasper, we're going to anything on Amazon that's got similar ingredients to it.
Yep, exactly.
Because I think one of the things is, of course, does this represent plagiarism now? Right? Are we plagiarizing this? Is Jasper just going to spit this back? So I think it's important to note that Jasper only takes these things as kind of learning, right?
Mhm.
It's not going
Yeah.
to just spit back these exact words.
Right, yeah,
We're kind of
Jasper's gonna see
training it.
this and yeah, it's seeing this and it's the context that Jasper's gonna take from and then create its own variations on what this content can be in the format, in this case, of a VSL, right? If we were using AIDA, it would do it in that sort of framework.
Mhm.
If we're doing creative story, it's going to do things along the lines of creative story. So what I did here, I just took the like two of like the top two bullet points on Amazon. There's a lot of information here. If you wanted to get really fine tune it, you fit a lot more information inside of these 800 characters. But we saw just from like, okay, I'm starting to sell this product. I'm going on Amazon. What are some things that people experience? Okay, knee pain, lower back pain. Um, you know, yeah, so it's like knee pain, lower back pain, right? Is clearly
Mhm.
a lot of people are experiencing that. Amazon's highlighting it in the reviews. So I'm gonna say lower
Yeah.
back pain are like the negative circumstances. Um, is there any like negative or scary fact that comes to mind with you for people with maybe joint pain in this demographic? It's like a
Well, I mean, the scary fact is having to get a knee replacement or, something like that,
yeah.
having to have surgery, having to take drugs, having to take painkillers that you may become addicted to. There's a lot of, um, Charles Kilmer asked, we learned that the best pitches imitate the voices of the people to whom the pitch is addressed. How can this
Mhm,
be done here with tone? I think one way is just putting the testimonials in, um,
mhm.
and Jasper will start to recognize, what that tone is. I don't know if there's a way. Is there a way to do that with the tone part of it, where you put that in on the left?
Yeah, so for the tone of voice, we'll add something like that in down here. And so again, like an example for obviously like understanding and doing the research before going into any of this to know like this is the words that my audience is resonating with. This is what the people are actually saying that I'm selling this to is gonna be the biggest key to all of this. And so coming into it with that research is super critical. Then adding in like a tone of voice that say on two ends of the spectrum, you've got Tim Ferriss, more analytical, and then you maybe got like Oprah Winfrey is like more like empathetic and conversational, right? Or something along those lines. Just using those different celebrity types that Jasper understands how they talk is going to have a huge impact on the output. And so if
Yeah.
you're selling to people in the supplement space and they follow Dr. Phil and resonate with that type of tone or something like that, right?
Right. So you're saying he's asking how to imitate the voices of the people to whom the pitch is addressed. I think
Mhm.
you're saying that it may be even more important to imitate the voices of the people that those people listen to and follow and respect.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's a good way to at least like start with the tone of voice and getting Jasper more context to that level, because clearly the way that they talk resonates with that market, right? And
Right,
so,
right. Would you be able to answer his question? Would you be able to take a testimonial, right,
mhm.
and highlight it as a command or something and say, okay, Jasper, um, imitate this tone of voice, right? Write me more in this way, in this
Yeah.
tone, in
Well,
this manner.
let me do this. Let's say this. All right, let's take this top review right here. It's got 4,000 different people found this helpful. Um,
Mhm,
like pretty in-depth tone of voice, right? So this is where you'd want to use boss mode and to play around with it. I would jump in here and I would just paste that content
okay.
right here inside of boss mode. So now we've got this review, all my results, my pain is gone completely, my quality of sleep, incredible well-being. I don't take antidepressants. So I mean, like 4,000 review, like help people found this help. Over 4,000 people found this helpful. Clearly, this is a good review to maybe base some stuff on. I might start. I'm going to zoom back in here. Start, pasted all that content. Now,
Mhm,
I haven't even put anything again over here to the side, right? Jasper's only going to be referencing right now that one review, but here's where really you can get creative with Jasper and work with it to find this stuff. I'm putting these little carrots here that stand for commands. And commands are like you're telling Jasper, do this for me, right? And then it's going to execute it and write content on that behalf. So I'm going to say, based on, I think about like Jasper talking about, like you mentioned, like has your own personal writing assistant,
mhm.
like talking to someone on the other side of a coffee table and like saying like, how would you ask somebody something like this, or tell an assistant to like, hey, I need this done based on the contents above. What is the tone of voice the person is talking in? Question
That's
mark.
interesting. Yeah, that's clever.
So now I'm going to say, because I'm like, I wonder what Jasper's going to come up with a tone of voice that can match this. Command Shift Enter is going to tell Jasper to just do this. So Jasper says the tone of voice the person is talking in is exciting and positive. And, you know, maybe that's the tone that you want to go with. If it is, you can take this tone and you can add it into that tone of voice box so that this tone resonates with all the content that you're going to be
Yeah,
producing
that's
on that
great.
front.
That's
If
great.
you
And
want to
when you
run it
say it
again,
resonates, you mean it will write in that tone. It will write excitedly and positively.
yeah, and
When Jasper writes.
alternatively, if you said like dull and boring, it's going to have more dull and boring outputs, right? And
Right,
so, but
right.
say you want like, that's good, but hey, Jasper, I need some more help. I don't like those tone of voice that you suggested there, right? So do it again. So second time I did it, excited, right? So clearly it's getting the excitement. I would agree, positive and hopeful. Okay, interesting. There's a hopeful vibe to it, and so maybe I like that key word. And maybe I'm just like, okay, this is a little too slow. I'm only getting one output at once. Um, here's kind of like a hack that you guys can tap into and use to just like get be more efficient inside of Jasper. Is you can have up to 200 characters inside of this command. And so what I could say is, based on the content above, what's the tone of voice the person's talking in? List out 10 um, tones of voice that I can reference. So now, because I'm telling it 10 tones of voice right here, Jasper again is picking up on the patterns, right? It's recognizing that,
Mhm.
okay, now we're doing a number and Command Shift Enter again. Now we've got excited, grateful, pain relief, cured, well, humble, honest, sincere, passionate, and relieved. So I'm saying interesting,
Sincere is a nice one.
sincere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe there's a few on here that we like, and I say like, okay, excited, sincere, and positive might be like the ones that really stick out here. I could
Hmm.
take those tones of voice, add them in here. I'll say like sincere, positive, and then again, if I like, okay, cool, I just brainstormed that. I just want to go and add that in now over here
Hmm.
to what I'm working on in my VSL. Say like free sample, and I'm going to jump back in to boss mode after this. Capsule supplements, product name. Let me see, what is it? Turmeric. And ultimate goals is like spend more time active with family, no pain, and say niche is older people who want to be active and experience pain. Let's say 10,000
Joint pain relief.
joint pain relief, number of customers. And the big idea, this is really like, I have a really difficult time with getting Jasper to give a big idea. Obviously, there's more that goes into like a big idea like that, but is there maybe like a hook that you found on like the supplement space? And John uses an example of like a muscle confusion from P90X, right? It was a great hook that got people in.
Yeah, well, as you say, it really depends on the product itself.
Right.
But you could say something like, deactivates the brain's pain messages or something like that. Might be a kind of a mechanism or a hook of that people would understand if that's actually how it works. And some pain relief, it does work like that, right?
Just call it.
Deactivates the
And like this is again for examples purposes here, right, guys? We're
yeah.
showing you how the tool would work. We just added in a few different key product features, name of the company, a little bit about the audience, what pain they're experiencing. And the goal of this would be to send traffic to the landing page that we're then going to write with the reviews and all of that stuff in mind. And so I just wanted to get a few different outputs here. And Jasper's thinking right now, and this is let's go ahead and do it right here. So first one that we've got, I'll read it out. It says, "Hi, it's Dave from BioShorts. I have some incredible news to share with you. Our team has been hard at work, and we finally developed a turmeric supplement that's up to 150 milligrams per serving with 95% standardized curcuminoids. This means that it's one of the most potent turmeric supplements on the market today. But that's not all. We've also added 10 milligrams of bioperine, which is an extract from black pepper. It's been shown to increase the absorption of turmeric by 2,000%. So what does this mean for you? It means that you can finally experience the joint pain relief you deserve without having to worry about taking painkillers after surgery or any other risks associated with them. The best of all, our turmeric supplements all natural, non-GMO, free of soy, gluten, milk, eggs, wheat, GMOs, peanuts, sweeteners, shellfish, and sugar. If you're interested in trying our turmeric curcumin supplement for yourself, we're
Mhm.
offering a free sample, so click the link below to claim yours while supplies last."
Yeah.
Right?
See, I would emphasize this is like a starting point now,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
right? I have some incredible news for you. That's Jasper trying to be enthusiastic. We told it to be enthusiastic. It's being
Mm-hmm.
enthusiastic. Any one of these places we could ask Jasper to elaborate on, right? We could ask
Yep.
Jasper to do an alternative way of doing it. We could, ask Jasper to try the whole thing again. In fact, it's giving us a couple of versions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the first draft, right? Like, how do we get the
Right.
first draft of this out and then take an objective look at it and say, okay, cool. That wasn't very good. I really like this line, the way that it said that. Maybe I need to tweak some of the inputs a little bit more. But I mean, in general, let me see. I discovered this. Help me reduce. Just click below. I'm just going to copy this one here, right? Because
This
once you
one of the things that I would see from this, right, that's
Hmm.
kind of interesting is that Jasper has decided not to talk about addiction to painkillers in
Hmm.
terms of um, in terms of addiction to painkillers because you're taking it for the pain of the arthritis.
Hmm.
It's talking about addiction to painkillers because of of the pain that comes after the surgery that you've had to get rid of the arthritis pain,
Hmm.
which is very interesting. And that's kind of Jasper saying, look, in my reading of billions of pages of the internet, right, what I have found is that addiction to painkillers is a bigger problem after surgery for getting rid of arthritis stuff,
Mm.
get your knees replaced or to get, injections or whatever, than it is for people taking painkillers to get rid of their arthritis pain. So that's
Mm.
something I might not have thought to talk about, right? That I might get from this is, wow, that's a good point that I need to bring up in my copy now that I've kind of learned from Jasper.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting takeaway from it. And, again, like an idea that might not have come across, initially that, and now it's like, okay, might be worth weaving that into um, the content we're going to be creating. And so, you can take this and open it directly inside of a document. You can also just go ahead and copy and paste it over into, let's say, another document. Now that you've got your tone of voice, you could keep this content here if you wanted, or you could delete it. It's really up to you. Um, but what you might want to do now at this point is say, like, cool, we've got a really rock solid review, and we've got the makings of what could be like the lead generation, like VSL script, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we could write for something like this. You mentioned before, I think what we were talking about in the other, and I had written down in the other documents, like now we need headlines for something like this,
Oh, I was just
right?
thinking about headlines. Great.
So let's check in with Jasper and say, like, hey Jasper, like I've got a lot of context here, and we haven't even really written anything in the content brief. So I'm going to actually move over and start with this just a little bit, and I'm going to type in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, like, I'm just going to tell it. I can be very literal with it right here, and just like it's this bioprane supplements. And I'm going to say, like, this is a copywriting exercise to create sales page copy based on customer reviews of the product. And I can continue to expand on this, but we've already got a lot of reviewed and like the review information here, which Jasper is going to recognize. And Jasper is going to pick up that, like, okay, we're writing sales page copy based on customer reviews about this product. I could continue to add more and more context into here as I need to, but I kind of want to build it and grow with it and see how Jasper is even
Mm-hmm.
responding to me right now. But now, like, let's dive in and say, like, write me a series of, say, and like adjectives are also a really powerful like little tool tip to add into here. You could say compelling, you could say like empathetic headlines, you could use any other sort of like descriptive word here, and that'll help steer Jasper in that sort of direction. Headlines for this product based on the review above. So back here, and so this is me again just telling Jasper, hey, like, I'm the boss, write this for me and I'll tell you if I like it or not. Right. And so got a few to review. Pain relief gone in an instant. Improves sleep and well-being. Curbs appetite and is all natural. Reduces joint pain better than prescribed drugs. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not like you're not the most amazing headlines, but it's certainly a start for something.
Right. How do you tell it to keep going? How do you tell it to give me things that are more headliney?
Mhm.
Um,
So you want to keep going, maybe generate more headlines based off of this one.
right.
Cool. So if you want to do that, the first thing I'm going to try is putting my cursor here at the end of where I want Jasper to continue writing, and I'm
Mhm.
going to press compose, which you can press as a button down here, compose, or you can also click Command J, and that is just going to tell Jasper not command say like run this command, but it's just going to say continue continue writing about this. And so I just did that, and now it's generating more ideas.
Right. Now it's
So,
actually generating more headlines, like "Say goodbye to joint pain with turmeric curcumin,"
mhm,
um, the natural way. And again, these aren't like headlines necessarily at this point that you're going to take and put into your copy, but they're headlines that can get you thinking of, ways of expressing it, of formats, of words that you can use, of ways of saying things that you can use.
mhm.
It's kind of
And
brainstorming with you and saying, "What about this?" And you say, "Well, not that, but what about this?" Right?
and then that's what you can also experiment with these commands, right? If you want to use a word like brainstorm, like you just did,
Mm.
brainstorm a series of 30 thought provoking, and maybe another
Or
one
what
instead
about
of thought.
attention getting?
Okay, attention, getting headlines for this product based on the reviews above. Here, let's
Stick a
see, was
stick a
that?
dash in there if you would, so it knows that it's attention
Cool.
getting.
Yeah. So
Or
brainstorm a
helpful.
series of, and this number is a variable, really. Like if you wanted it to be 10, we could do 10. We could
Right.
expand on it. Doesn't really matter. But if you want a lot, then you could put like, I usually like put like 50 or some other number here. So 10, experience the power of turmeric for pain relief, pain free in days, end your struggles.
Where's that one? Where's the surgery one? I thought I saw one about avoiding surgery or something like that.
Hmm.
That might have been in the earlier ones. But you can see, just how in working with it, you can get it closer to what you want. You can direct it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, and see, and again, like if you wanted to continue the brainstorming, you just need to update the number right here and have Jasper continue kind of the thought and saying, "Oh, now we're doing 30, not just 10. I'm going to keep writing you like say goodbye, joint pains, and say goodbye to joint pain and say hello to freedom." So interesting.
mhm.
And one thing you've also mentioned in our previous conversation as well is like, okay, creative ways to market a product. Also,
Yeah.
like how would you go about marketing, coming up with campaigns? Maybe what are some questions or
Right.
types of
See,
contents you want to brainstorm in that?
so for any one of those, you could put the cursor at the end of it and press, Command J, and it will riff off of that particular headline, right?
So this is where you need to be very precise when you're writing inside of Jaspers, because if I were
Hmm.
to just go back up to, let's say, 14 and click Command J, Jasper still thinks it's writing a listicle. And so you can keep generating, and just
Uh,
keep going up and generating like that. But now let's when
well,
nothing
what
else
about
works.
when nothing else works? Because that's an interesting. That's like
Cool.
that's an interesting approach, right? Might
Cool.
not have thought of
Yeah.
it,
So
positioning it as the last resort kind of a thing.
mhm.
So how do
Yeah.
I tell
So
Jasper I want more like that one?
okay. So let's just say like when nothing else works. So you want it to keep along these lines, or do you want it
Yes,
to generate more
exactly.
headlines along the same pattern?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to put these three blinders on, and these asterisks, we call them blinders. And that's going to tell Jasper, hey, don't reference anything up here
Hmm.
anymore. Like, so I want you to focus in. And now Jasper is only going to see what's over here as long as I have these toggles on. And so it's still going
Hmm.
to reference that. And we can update that as much or as little as we want. But Jasper isn't going to be just necessarily pulling from anything that's below here.
Right.
And so
And
if we
the
want
three dots tells it not to pull of anything of above. So we've isolated that headline.
yep. And
Okay.
so now I might want to come in here and say like, okay, one, when nothing else works with joint pain, right here, I might have something like just riffing on this is like, okay, how would I want to ask like Jasper to continue writing headlines on this? So I might like create a list of headlines that are similar but different from the headline above. And I'll test that and see if that works. And let's see. And then it's giving me five. Now it's giving me like 5 turmeric, you know, 5
Mhm.
reasons why turmeric is the best joint release supplement. How to get the most out of your turmeric and top 10 benefits. So, I mean,
Yeah.
these are all like
You-
blogs or different
Can you
pieces of
try
content.
can you try a Command J after that first headline?
After the first one,
Yeah, just a
yeah,
Command J there.
let's do this. Yeah, let's see
So
where
it
it goes.
continues.
Okay, well, so now Jasper is because
Now
it
it's
was Command
continuing.
J. Yeah, turned
Right.
to
It's
turmeric with vibrant.
elaborating on that.
Yeah, this powerful supplement has been shown to be effective in reducing inflammation and pain in the joints. Made with only the highest quality ingredients, turmeric, curcumin with bioperin is a natural way to get relief, right? So don't let it stop you from doing the things you love. Try and see the difference, right? And so now I just wrote its own little ad because Jasper loves to sell stuff
Right.
right there. And so, that's maybe like one example, but it's, you see that a lot more in when you're doing like Command J is that it's going to say, okay, continue it less I'm
Mhm.
writing and there, but nothing,
Oh,
but
here
it
you
knows
go.
that we're writing an ad. It'd be
Okay,
incredibly
here,
frustrating.
yeah, see, this is now we finally got it to where it's writing about what at least I was looking for it to write about, which is the when
Mhm.
nothing else works idea, right?
Okay.
So when joint pain can be incredibly frustrating, you may have tried every cream and ointment on the market, but nothing seems to provide lasting relief. If you're looking for something that will finally help ease your joint pain, turmeric, curcumin, and bioperine supplement is worth a try. I mean, it's not great copy, but you could see how it's kind of now elaborating on this idea of you've tried everything else. Specifically, you've tried creams, you've tried ointments.
Hmm.
Um, and again, it's giving you fodder, right? It's giving you material, it's giving you ideas, it's giving you ways of saying things.
So what might you want to get from this content now that you have a general working idea for the nothing else works angle, right? Like, do you want to create like what are some marketing angles that we can go against this, or maybe where might you want to steer the ship, David?
Well, I'm thinking that in order to get more specific with that, we would have to put that over on the left into the background,
Hmm.
right? You know, the the maybe not literally put that in, but that's yeah, you could do that. Just put in that idea that our cream works when nothing else does. So Jasper then knows that about this product.
Yep, exactly. And that's what like those little like gold nuggets of like content that you want to ensure end up making their way in here as they come up. Add those off into the content brief so that Jasper continues to pull from them on that side. Let me see, where did I end up here? Yeah, so
Yeah.
brainstorm, nothing else works. You talked about nothing else works. I'm just trying to think of like other like ways that we can continue to maybe even let me do this. Let me copy this, and I'm going to go up now because we've done the brainstorming, right? Like in this,
Mhm.
sure we can come back and look at it, but I'm not really too concerned about it right now. Um, I'm going to go and paste that maybe actually like right above. So the review ended right here, and nothing else works. Joint pain. Um, it's just what are some creative marketing angles that we could um, test based on this product working when nothing else does. Okay, so Jasper tells us some creative marketing angles could be, we could target the fibromyalgia market specifically. We could target seniors with the product for improved sleep quality, right? We target people looking for all natural alternatives to prescription drugs.
That idea of improving sleep quality could be $1 billion idea. That's something that was done very successfully in the weight loss market, where I think it was Resurge had a product, and they positioned it as a weight loss product that also helps you get better sleep, and getting better sleep helps you lose weight, right? Because if you're up all the time eating, you can't lose weight, right? If you're unhappy because you're not sleeping, you likewise, will eat more and won't lose weight. So that little thing there could be huge, right? And that's Jasper looked at everything and saw that one of the things that this did was to improve sleep.
Yeah, like those little nuggets and takeaways, then you could take that, right? And we could update even the content brief even more and say like improves sleep quality, right? Or
Right.
helps.
And you put that on the left, as we keep saying. Put it on the left so it knows to keep incorporating that.
Yeah, so say
Someone
like,
asked an interesting question, and I guess it's kind of what I'm asking too, is can you, like that headline that we liked about when nothing else works, right?
yeah,
Um, can you say, Jasper, try again, do better, more versions of this, more like this? Like, how do you
yeah,
kind of
yeah. So
code
I
that?
could take this and say, okay, Jasper, let me think for a second. Let me try this actually. So I'm going to take this headline, the idea that we've got from Jasper here, and instead of giving it a command in here, this just released this week, guys, as of the time that we're doing this live, a new template called commands. And so what we've been doing inside of boss mode is running commands and writing them out. But now Jasper's actually got a template for commands that allows you to give much more context to what you're looking at here in a far more focused field. And you can see what I did here was just go up to the top of my screen, and I clicked, and before I was in focus mode, now I am in power mode. And power mode allows me to just kind of open up all the different templates that we talked about earlier on the left-hand side. And the top of the template command, I think this is because I favorited it myself, but now you got like, do you have any background information for Jasper? And so I'm going to say, yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, I do have background information for Jasper. I'm going to give, Jasper maybe this context that we've got, not the entire content brief necessarily, but I'm going to say this is a headline writing exercise to create copywriting exercise to create more headlines based on the headline below. When nothing else works, helps with improve joint sleep. Let's just remove that one. So I'm going to say now, write a series of, and it could be list. I could reword it if it doesn't give me what I want. Series of headlines. Let me say attention grabbing headlines. Attention grabbing headlines based on this headline. I'm going to be like very literal here. And the benefit that I'm finding with just using this, even like barely like diving into it this week, I said it just got a few days ago. Jasper just released it, is you're limited to about 200 characters for running a command inside of boss mode. Here, we've got up to 800 characters. And so like, I want the headlines to vary across the board and target the angle of this product working for joint pain when nothing else does. Leave it right there. Like this doesn't have the tone of voice with it, which is fine. But instead of 3, I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to 7, just to get more outputs there. I think that it'll go well. All right, cool. So here's now where we're at. Now we're generating a bunch of different headlines. When traditional medicine fails, curcumin may help. New supplement claims to ease joint pain. Some suffer joint pain from relief. Curcumin shows promise as a treatment for joint pain. New supplement hits market. Don't suffer from joint pain any longer. Try supplement.
Yeah, it's going a little bit off there, but the ones above that were certainly much more, did exactly what we asked, right? When traditional medicine fails, curcumin may help. And it's great. And it certainly now gives you something that you can work with, right? And polish that up and, make more unique.
The cure for joint pain women. Yeah, look at the cure for joint pains.
When medicate, that's great too, right? When medications fail. The natural alternative.
The last resort.
Yep.
The cure for joint pain when nothing else works for.
Yeah. So you can see that this assistant that we're talking about, right, is very trainable, right? And if you learn to communicate with it in the right way, right, its output can be, really helpful.
Yeah, I know. Really cool to see the progression here, right? From like finding like the few little snippets that Jasper did come out with.
Right.
It might have taken us, let's say, like 30 minutes to come to this point. But if this were you doing it and we're not on a live, interview, walking through and demonstrating it, talking through it, I mean, you can get this type of content in, I'm talking about a matter of a couple minutes. If you're working through it and you have like the research on one side, you're inputting the content, and like you can get to be where not just fast, but like extremely effective with the type of input you're putting in, knowing that, okay, because I said this is going to happen. And then just like having the awareness of the different templates that Jasper has to offer besides just using boss mode and knowing all of these commands yourself. That does come with a learning curve. You're not going to snap your fingers and become a Jasper, magician overnight. But it just like anything and any tool that's worth integrating and has a learning curve, practice and testing things out, working through it on your own projects, other projects with other people, and using it like that assistant. You can be very effective for, again, just brainstorming, coming up with those ideas, and then, being the logician behind it, turning that into copy that's going to, actually sell, and you're going to publish it.
And there's templates for things like Facebook ads, all sorts of, everything imaginable for content of various kinds, writing a book.
Yeah. And I mean, this is, again, like scratching the surface at what Jasper can even do. I mean, I feel like even today versus a month from now, we're going to have new things that people are coming out inside of the community that are like, wow, did you know that you could do this and that could come out? Like there's a few, I mean, we could riff on this all day. I know we're coming up on time a little bit here, David, but, I think in general, my takeaway from today, especially kind of like looking at this from with your own perspective, is that you're not looking for Jasper, right, to write the entire headline, the entire article right out the gate. What you're looking for is something that you can do that's unique and that has an idea and has like weight behind it, can have legs to it, right? Like with that. And we got all of this from simply copying in essentially like one Amazon review and a couple things that you could find openly on the internet. And Jasper just created this unique content off that could help. Even if it just saves a few hours a week in your research and coming up with these things, like it's a big time saver.
I think the other thing too is that Jasper is constantly being improved. AI is constantly being improved, right? They're coming out with GPT-4. They've come out with it already. That's going to be incorporated into Jasper pretty soon. So as AI and Jasper evolve and improve, if you're using it, you'll be at the, at the tip of that spear, right? You'll be ready. You'll know how to use it. You'll be used to incorporating AI. And as it improves, what you can do with it will then improve exponentially as it gets better and better.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's a great point because, like I said, even a couple weeks ago, we didn't have the commands template or the mini VSL template.
Mm-hmm.
And every month at the AI author, we're producing like more advanced recipes, creating these templates on the back end, working with Jasper for it. And so, you know, the sooner that you're getting up to speed and just knowing how to use the tool, the faster you'll be able to implement it as
Right.
new developments happen. Because I mean, we're writing a book on the process right now, and almost every other month we're like, okay, we got to go back and re-update it because new things have been added, right,
Mm-hmm.
on a constant basis. And so we're very much at the frontier of AI, and with Jasper, kind of leading the charge in terms of
Yeah. And
um,
when you say here at AI Author, I just wanted to tell people like that's your company that you do kind of add-ons for Jasper that make it even more powerful. You create what's
mhm.
called recipes within Jasper that enable it to do specific tasks even better, create more customized kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. So we specialize really in creating, what we call them like premium Jasper recipes, customizing them around specific workflows. Recipes are essentially like pre-built workflows to help you get a desired outcome, right? So we have one for writing like book outlines, writing book titles, entire
Yeah,
books essentially
they're
inside
kind of
of that
like they're
recipe.
kind of like templates, but
Yeah.
more a little bit more custom made. So
Hmm. Yeah.
you could create them yourself even that enable you to do something that you might want to do.
Yeah.
I have a friend who uses Jasper for creating exercises when he does a course. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
here's the lesson for this course. Jasper, give me 10 exercises people can do to better learn this, this lesson. And Jasper will come up with 10, exercises, and he'll take them and tweak them, and he's got the exercises he needs.
Yeah, that's a really cool example. You see like course creators, people that are
Mhm.
using them for like coming up with USPs, for like brainstorming on that element. People using them for like Save the Cat as like a beat sheet overview for like screenwriters. We've got people using recipes for those. We actually have an event next week, Recipe Rockstar Boot Camp, where we're going to be working through it with our community and helping people learn how to create their own recipes as well. So if that is something that anyone here is interested in, or just joining and learning what we're doing, that's at the aiauthor.com. You can come in and check out what we're up to. We've got a private community where people are really using Jasper at a more advanced level.
Right.
Again, just the aiauthor.com. Check us out there if you want to stay in the know. But otherwise, if you are new to Jasper and you just want to get started, I would recommend you guys get started with Jasper. Get in, check out some of the templates, check out Boss Mode a little bit. And David is an affiliate as well with Jasper. And as an affiliate of Jasper, going through davidldeutsch.com/Jasper will get you the ability to tap into 10,000 free credits, which you can use. Credits are the character counts that get applied whenever you run and create content. So you can sign up for a free trial there and start giving Jasper a go. Cancel obviously anytime you want, but go through
Mhm.
David's link so that you can get access to that 10,000 bonus credits. Because unless
Yeah.
you like paying for stuff right out the gate, that's fine too. But this
Yeah, I
way,
mean, I would emphasize that you get 5 days, I think, to try it out.
yep, yeah.
And you really owe it to yourself to try out, at least play around with, what can be done on AI these days and what could be done on Jasper.
Mhm.
I was thinking another thing I like to use it for. Every once in a while, I'll ask it like, um, I'll say, let's say I'm supposed to talk to a plumbing company about advertising or something like that. Guy owns like 10 plumbing stores. I'll say, what question should I ask the head of marketing of a plumbing company? And it'll like suggesting then, maybe 5 of them will just be silly, but there'll be like, one or two of them in there. It'll be like, I wouldn't have thought to ask him that, and it'll give me ideas for things.
That's cool. So you're using it to brainstorm like questions to interview people to, I mean,
Yeah,
totally.
questions to interview people,
Yeah.
how can I get my son to work harder at school? Like you could ask it anything, right? It's happy to answer any sort of a question like that, right?
We see people using it often for responding to like negative reviews or like people like, like someone responds back and says,
Right.
"Oh, rah, 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 I'm super upset about this." And, in the heat of the moment, we're all human here, could say stuff that might not be like as ideal in responding in a certain situation, right? And, step
Mhm.
back away, give it a rest. Or you can just plug it into Jasper. What would Jasper say in a very caring, understanding tone to this response, right? And like,
I think it's like you could have a dialogue really with Jasper, right? You could say, what do I do in this, and it says that, what else could I do? What if I don't want to do that? What are some other ideas along those lines? What if this happens? Right? You can
mhm.
actually, it's like actually talking to someone.
Yeah, very very much so. And I've actually had one experience where I was working through one of our recipes, the hero's journey recipe, based on Joseph Campbell's 12 stages of the hero's journey. And at one
Right.
point, Jasper picked up that like I was doing like a character avatar development, and at some point in the recipe when I was running it, Jasper got to saying like, "Oh, clearly we're like interviewing or doing a customer thing," and so it started asking itself questions and answering its own questions. And so
Right.
I ended
Right.
up with like thousands of words with Jasper having a conversation with itself with the persona that it was learning from what I gave it.
Right.
And I was pretty mind blown by it. And, I never even thought that that could be like done, but because of the pattern recognition and the way that the AI is structured, again,
Hmm.
conversation with it, just have a conversation and see where things can go. And I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. And that's really the basis of creativity, right?
Hmm.
Is having a conversation. It's asking questions. It's that generative process. And Jasper is such a great partner for that. And
Yeah,
that's the
maybe
trouble with copywriting is you do it by yourself,
yeah,
for the
yeah.
most part, unless you're part of a team, unless you work, within a company. And brilliant as one's own brain may be, it's only your own brain. And as soon as you have another brain working with you, there's an exponential increase because it's asking you questions, it's prompting you, it's a catalyst, it's inspiring things, right? One time I think there's a template or something within Jasper where it's like bad ideas, come up with
Yeah.
bad ideas, right? And I did that for something I was working on. And some of those bad ideas, first of all, some of those bad ideas were pretty good ideas, but also some of those bad ideas made me think of good ideas.
Mm.
So that's what I mean by that, catalyst, generative, inspiring, right? As writers, we need that because otherwise we get in our own little world of, our own thoughts, our own ways of thinking, all the ruts that we've dug for ourselves, all the ways of doing things. We've always done it the way we've always written it. And Jasper kind of frees you from that. Plus,
Hmm.
it's fun. It's just fun to have a partner that you could, and it's like always there, right? Waking up 3 in the morning. It doesn't care, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I would say like, you know, two almost what a year and a half plus ago, when
Mhm.
Jasper was just becoming a thing,
Right.
um, the just the empowerment that like I get and the community gets, right? You get from like not needing to worry that you're going to get stuck with writer's block and you're going to have to sit and like not have an idea come out of your head for like, I don't know if that happens to you still, but I mean, I would hardly ever write any content for myself like at all in my copywriting because I just like I know it, I'm an expert in it, but like I can't articulate it very well. And I would just write for other people's products. But
Mhm.
then as soon as I started using Jasper, it's like, oh, like now I can throw ideas off of somebody and they can bounce them back. And now I've got a first draft done. Now
Right.
it's not so
Right.
scary to keep the conversation going. I
Mhm.
guess you're more of like an editor in chief at this point than a writer. Like not in every instance of it, but like you're
Right.
able to kind of step up and not need to do maybe some of the grunt work of some of the brainstorming of some of the tedious work that you could just ask Jasper to help you some of these questions.
Yeah, some of the digesting of the things, right?
Mhm.
Like you say, it's kind of grunt work. It's kind of taking all this information and processing it. And Jasper helps you do that, right? It processes it and it remembers it.
Yeah, you can even
Um,
have it summarize content, right? Like, here's 3 paragraphs, like, give me, like, a 3-sentence
right.
summary
Give
of
me a
what was just
summary.
talked about. Yeah.
Um, Charles Kilmer says, uh, kind of summarizing what we were doing, take the best title, plug it back into the command. I think that's exactly it, right? There's generative stuff. You take the best and then you put it back on I guess it's on this side, on the left side, where it can become part of Jasper's learning now. And Jasper can always keep it in mind. Deb says the commands template has been pure gold for me.
Mhm.
I can't wait to try that out. I didn't even know about that. I mean, it's constantly. I can't even keep up with all the stuff that's coming out. Do we
I
do
know.
we have time for questions? If people have
Yeah, let's
questions at
let's
this
let's
point?
open up for questions, yeah, that commands template's super great. I For some reason, I can't even see the chat on my end. So, if you have the questions on your end, please
Yeah,
please
and
do share.
if you've asked a question earlier, ask it again. Charles says, "Where is the command template?" I guess it's
Uh,
under templates, right?
yeah, if you go inside of your account on Jasper, and I'll show you guys, like, to search the stuff, it's pretty quick and easy. You just go inside of your templates account, and then you would just search commands and or command. Maybe it's just command. There we go. So as you search stuff, it'll just pop up here. If you wanted to search like AIDA, for example, you just search that right here, and AIDA comes up.
Hmm.
Facebook, right? You get all the Facebook templates that pop up. You can also filter through here if you want to look through every specific in particular.
Yeah.
Cool.
I had a question, which is,
Yep.
when you sign up for the trial, um, they don't bill you, right? They don't bill you until the trial is up. So you have that 5 days to use it
Mhm.
and, play around with it, do whatever with it, get
Yeah.
everything out of it that you want.
I
That's
yeah, I believe you need to put a card on file for whenever you do sign up, because if you go
right. But
over
they
your
don't
10,000
ding it
words,
until the 5 days is up. You can
yeah,
cancel anytime.
yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to because I always worry about that.
Mhm.
I love trying stuff out. Um,
Any other questions from the crowd? Anyone here? Yeah, and I think one thing I was just maybe while we're waiting for another question to come through, if you guys are in the commands template, what I found when we were doing this last week, test or a couple of days ago, testing it out was, if you want to write like a blog or a short blog blip
mhm.
about something, right? Introduction, what's the outline, conclusion? You can have Jasper basically write your entire intro, outline, and conclusion now inside of the commands template. Take that output, plug it into boss mode, and then you could just start expanding on each of the outlines, and like you
Mhm.
basically can write a short 1,000 word, 500,000 word blog in like blink of an eye almost. And that can go for a lot of different types of
Yeah.
content, but like the ability to be able to give it that much more characters worth of commands is totally awesome. Like compared to get the exact type of content out that you're looking for.
Yeah. The more information you can give it, the better it will do. That was
Mhm.
part of the thing of what we were doing. We didn't give it a lot of information. So, um, and that made me think of something too, which is, you know, the Uber copywriter asked, is it able to summarize the key points of a clinical study of an ingredient into something that sounds more conversational? Um,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah, I've seen it take stuff that's really complex and make it simple. I've seen it take stuff that's really simple even and make it complex.
Mhm.
And you can have fun too with it. You can give it like the Gettysburg Address and then give it something and say, okay, make this sound like the Gettysburg Address above.
Yeah, and
Um,
here's a quick way to do that also. And keeping in mind, like with the summary ability is that you're still going to be limited in some aspect to, like, you can't put like a 5,000 word, study and have Jasper just go and reference all of it. Not as of yet anyways. It's still limited to that kind of 3,000 character bit. And so
Mhm.
you might need to take it in chunks. But another thing you can do that I find to be a very helpful tool inside of Jasper, say like you had like this sentence: joint pain can be frustrating. Um, and this is what you're saying. You're like, I like the way that sounds, but I'm not too sure. Go up here to the upper right-hand corner. You can see, explain it to a fifth grader and rephrase. So if you just wanted to rephrase something, you could do that. But I love the explain it to a fifth grader because this gives you
Yeah,
the
that's
ability to
great.
just do that. Let's see, that one, not so much. I want to go ahead and try that again. Say that nothing else seems to help. See, it seems to provide lasting relief. It just says nothing else seems to help. If you're looking for something to
Mhm.
ease,
Try
your
putting
joint
in the
pain.
Gettysburg Address there or something, and fourscore and 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth, and then explain it to a fifth grader and see what it does with it.
Let me see. Where is it in here? Fourscore. Let's do these first two lines. Now we're kind of in boss mode with this, but here again, such a cool thing with power mode.
Mhm.
Go over
You
here,
know,
explain it to a fifth grader as a template. So we can go to explain it to a child, which is the same thing, up to 800 characters. So we can put this in, and output level, I'm going to say 5, and generate content. Over 70 years ago, our fathers founded this nation. So they said liberty is the nation, but let me scroll in here. You see the difference in language, right? Obviously, like who says 4 score and 7 years ago anymore?
mhm.
Like, um, over 70 years ago, almost 80 years ago, our fathers founded the new nation on this continent. The nation was founded on the idea that all people are created equal. We are now fighting in a great civil war to see if the nation can last. On this battlefield, many have died so the nation might
Yeah,
live.
so you can see how it can take something and simplify it like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you can do is, let's say you've written something and you don't have, you've written an article, but needs a good introduction. So put the article in there and get Jasper to write the introduction. Or maybe you've written something and it needs a conclusion. So, Jasper, write a conclusion for me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be writing the whole article, right? Sometimes it can just be, hey, write an introduction for me.
See what this says. Yeah, I mean, something to play with, right? There's a lot of ways that you can approach this, and it
Mhm.
really is like, endless
That-
ways
mhm.
to approach this different things. And sometimes you just need to try and see what works and what doesn't for you. And because different
Right.
people will write commands differently and get sometimes the same type of output, but sometimes different in a good way because it's being directed based on how you're talking to it. And so, like, the types
Yeah.
of commands that you're giving in, the type of context, all going to have a role to play,
Mhm.
like, on that front. And then, yeah.
Someone's asking about training, and some people are actually answering that yes, they have a boot camp, and the boot camp is really good.
Yep.
The videos that were done, they're funny, they're not long and involved, they're
Mhm.
they're very succinct, and it's a perfect introduction to everything.
Yeah.
And they also have a lot of videos about specific cases. That's
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
You get
absolutely. Kyle Williams is great on top of all those boot camp videos. If you're just getting started, I would definitely start with that boot camp. Go through it. Take about an hour, hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah. Someone else asked if you own the stuff, right? That Jasper
Yes.
generates for you.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
yeah,
it's all your content. It's not Jasper's. There is a built-in copyscape to the tool, and always recommend, if you're publishing anything, like run it through copy checker. Anyways, like, because Jasper knows so much, sometimes it'll say sentences that are similar and can get picked up on that front. So, I mean, just being, aware, like more often than not, I would say closer to like 98, 99% of the time, like it's generating totally original content. You will find instances where it pulls something that was like, okay, like that's somebody else had said that, in some way, shape, or form. But I rarely ever come up with it. And if I ever do get anything flagged, it's usually like a sentence from like a Wikipedia article that's super generic. But, just, double check before you're publishing anything like that. But it is your content to produce and copyright.
Yeah, I that seems to be about it for questions. I think in summary, it's really something you should try and check out. You could see that AI is more and more a part of how things are done. We're using AI all the time. Whenever we Google anything, we're using AI, right? Google is using AI to figure out what you mean, to give you the results. Netflix is using AI to put, what movies in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
More and more of the stuff that you read on the internet is either generated by AI or it's being used, like we're talking about using it here, right, as inspiration to
Mm-hmm.
do certain tasks in a sort of a partnership assistant sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think AI is going to replace, really good copywriting or really good content writing. But I do think that people that don't know AI and don't use it are kind of going to be left behind, right, by people that do know how to use that as a tool for what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think it gives you an extra edge, at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
that if you're not using it, then you're just not tapping into a resource that's like extremely powerful for a lot of different reasons. And the more focused and like aware of you are of how to use the tool, like especially in this case, Jasper, you can find ways to just say, not only just like save yourself time, but like, like maybe you can take on more projects that you weren't before because you can teach people that you're working with how to use Jasper to help with coming up ideas and things like that. Or,
Yeah.
like a lot of ways that we're seeing people scale their businesses in so many different ways because like writer's block is no longer a problem in their content production. It's
That's
it's keeping
really
up with the
helpful
ability to
for that.
produce the content that much faster because you're getting, and that's how we've experienced it as well. Like growing a small team around our own, content production is like, I don't want to necessarily need to write blogs all day, right? Or all the time, but I can use a process that we've honed and refined and teach not just one person, but really one person can do the work of 10 now,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like blogging. And that's really cool to be able to, even like open up and provide new jobs for people is what we're seeing. Like whole agencies are being built around producing higher level content powered by AI. The businesses are growing, more jobs are coming in for people that know how to use it. And so, a really cool time we're living in. And we're excited to be here at the forefront of it at the AI Author with Jasper as well. So, David, really appreciate your time today. And everyone here with us live, watching the recording, thank you as well. Appreciate all your questions. And if you haven't signed up for Jasper, head on over to davidldeutsch.com/Jasper. Get yourself 10,000 free credits. Start your free trial. Give Jasper a spin. And of course, check out what we're doing over at the AIauthor.com, covering the future of publishing with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, this has been great. I've learned a ton, from this. Whenever I talk with you, I learn more about how to use Jasper. Can I tell people where to get a hold of me if they
Yeah,
want?
yeah. Yeah. Any
Um,
last words that you want? Where do people find you? Any parting
yeah,
words?
just if you want to find me, it's the beginning of the link, for the Jasper thing. It's davidldeutsch.com, DEUTSCH, davidldeutsch.com. You can get in touch with me there, or, there's some resources, free report on copywriting. And getting to Jasper is just adding /Jasper at the end of that. That'll get you to the 5 days free and the 10,000 free credits.
Cool. And I know you've got a book coming up as well. Is that something
Well, it's
people can
actually a
opt?
course
It's a
that the
course.
book
Okay.
is a part of. Yeah, on creativity. and you can sign up to be on the notification list there. If you sign up to get the free report, you'll get notified when the course comes out, which should be in a month or two.
Awesome. Great. So yeah, so guys, go ahead over to davidldeutsch.com, opt in for that report. You know, great newsletter to be on, like regardless if you're have any interest at all in copywriting and being creative. So David, again, thank you so much for your time. This is a real blast. And until next time, everyone, stay safe out there. Cheers.
Bye-bye.